Your news headlines: Pope John Paul II succeeds Pope John Paul I, who died after only 34 days in the Vatican. President Jimmy Carter helps forge a new era of peace between Israel and Egypt in his role as mediator during the Camp David Accords. Concerning more secular matters, the Houston Oilers have become one ornery football team. Their sellout crowds waving the blue pom-pom, singing "Love You Blue," the Oilers were on the rise in the AFC. A major catalyst in their ascent was the arrival of one Earl Campbell. And the Heisman Trophy winner out of Texas exploded on the pro football world that year. And though it was only the 11th pro game of his career, this one against Miami would be perhaps his most memorable.
A sellout Astrodome crowd that had made the spirit and trappings of college football fashionable for the jaded pro game turned out to see their Houston Oilers under head coach Bum Phillips play the Miami Dolphins in an important late-season game featuring the NFL's top two rushers. Oilers rookie sensation Earl Campbell, number 34, was capping a spectacular debut season. The Dolphins would counter the explosive prodigy with their own backfield star in Delvin Williams, number 24. Sharing the spotlight with these two rising stars would be Miami's chess-master quarterback, number 12, Bob Greasy. The bespectacled Greasy, looking even more cerebral than his playing image evoked, was in the midst of a successful comeback from a knee injury, having led Miami to 4 wins in the last 5 starts. Miami coach Don Shula would need top performances from his quarterback and defensive unit if the Dolphins would leave Houston with a victory. Greasy engineered an opening drive by completing passes to 4 different receivers, including one to tight end Andre Tillman, number 87. Complementing Greasy's surgical passing game were the gliding runs of running back Delvin Williams. The game's first score came when Greasy found his top-scoring threat, Nat Moore, number 89, in a familiar locale, wide open in the end zone. Moore's TD reception gave Miami a quick 7-0 lead, and the ease with which they moved down the field served to fire up their defense, whose primary objective this night was stopping Earl Campbell. And when number 34 was first called on, the Dolphins were waiting. Though number 58 linebacker Kim Bokamper's head-knocking hit may have loosened a few molars, quite possibly his own, Houston quarterback Dan Pastorini, number 7, would soon answer back by taking a nice bite out of Miami's field position when he hit tight end Mike Barber, number 86, for a 29-yard gain. With no reason to break up a good relationship, the Pastorini to Barber combination struck again, this time deep in Dolphin territory. Barber's catch kept the Oilers rolling and set them up with a short yardage scoring situation. One needn't have been a student of the game to know who would get the ball next. Campbell's 1-yard touchdown plunge tied matters up at 7 and served as a prelude to a remarkable performance. The score remained deadlocked well into the second quarter when the Oilers were on the move again. Wide receiver Mike Renfro's tribute to improvisational agility inspired his quarterback to improvise a bit on his own, as Pastorini made the most of his rather limited mobility. This 15-yard scoring pass to Mike Barber gave Houston a 14-7 lead with under 5 minutes to play in the first half. However, when defending against an offense led by Bob Greasy, 2 minutes can seem like an eternity, let alone 5. Plus, the Oilers would have their hands full with running back number 38, Leroy Harris. Aided by an effective running game, Greasy was fully able to exploit an off-balance Houston secondary. But the Oilers sent a message that any bold forays into their airspace would be met by an appropriate response. Undaunted, Miami's receivers continued to find rather wide seams in Houston's preventative blanket as Greasy piloted his team on a late second quarter drive. Pressure generated by the importance of the game and the magnitude of its audience began to reveal itself as tempers at times ran short. However, the Dolphins would retain their composure and close out the half on a 1-yard touchdown run by Delvin Williams, tying the game at 14. Oilers came out in the second half, signaling to Miami that they would not be content with operating under an Earl Campbell-controlled offense, despite its success. This 24-yard pass to newly acquired 9-year veteran Rich Castor, number 88, positioned the Oilers near Miami's goalpost. And once again, the rookie fullback from Texas carved another notch in his gun hand. With Houston ahead 21-14, two central figures had now emerged, and what began as a 90-player shootout had been subtly reduced to a 2-player duel, matching Campbell's running with Greasy's field generalship. And in staying with the script, the studious-looking quarterback answered Campbell's latest score with another textbook 10-play drive. Following Harris's burst up the middle, Greasy struck for a big play, finding his favorite target streaking over the middle in Nat Moore. This 47-yard game was Miami's biggest of the night and keyed an 89-yard scoring drive that culminated in a 1-yard touchdown run by Leroy Harris, which tied the game for a third time at 21. Similar to the effect of their opening drive, this latest Miami score revived a floundering Dolphin defense, spurring them on to perform their most effective stretch of the game. They sacked Pastorini twice, once for a safety, the other by number 51 linebacker Rusty Chambers, an unsung hero of the Dolphin defense, whose life would be tragically cut short by an automobile accident 3 years later. Ahead 23-21, the fourth quarter safety had given Miami its first lead since their early 7-0 advantage. And just when it appeared that momentum had switched to Miami's favor, the Oilers' defense rose to the occasion. What could have been characterized as an offensive track meet for the first 3 quarters had been slowed down to an evening stroll as both defenses controlled the action for most of the final period. Houston's offense then received a needed jolt when it turned to an unusually quiet offensive leader, wide receiver 00, Ken Burrow. This marvelous effort by the Oilers' top receiver keyed an 80-yard scoring drive that ended in virtually the same fashion as the others. Campbell's 12-yard touchdown run, his third of the game, came with less than 5 minutes remaining and gave Houston back the lead 28-23. His performance this night would place him as both the NFL's top rusher and top scorer. However, the game was far from over. Quarterback Bob Greasy had ample time to orchestrate another comeback drive. On this night, Greasy delivered one of his finest passing performances, completing nearly 70% of his passes for 350 yards, while sustaining several lengthy drives playing catch-up. Destiny, it would seem, rested on the arm of number 12. But for all of Greasy's impressive numbers, the Oilers would parlay his one misguided aerial into a game-clinching twist of fate. Number 57, linebacker Steve Kiner's theft of a tipped pass killed Miami's drive, an all but locked-up victory for hometown Houston. Needing only to run out the clock, the night's top performer seized the opportunity to give the Astrodome crowd one unforgettable encore.
First pitch back goes to Earl Campbell. Breaks the tackle at the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. At the 50, he may go. At the 30, at the 20, at the 10, at the 5, touchdown.
Campbell's fourth touchdown put the game out of reach at 35-23 with under 2 minutes remaining. But the night's other hero finished with a flourish. Operating against an Oiler defense that played the pass all the way, Greasy still managed to connect with his receivers for large gains, including this Hail Mary to wide receiver, number 85, Bo Rather. After traveling the length of the field with lightning efficiency, Greasy then hit wide receiver Jimmy Cephalo, number 81, for a scoring pass on the game's final play. This memorable 35-30 Houston victory left both teams in second place in their respective divisions with 8-4 records, and would also serve as a preview of postseason action as these same two coaches would meet again in the 1978 AFC Wild Card game.